Hey everyone, it's Corey, and I'm going to do a quick presentation on SMART goals, how to set them, how to use them, and the best way to go about sticking to them. The first time I actually used SMART goals was at the end of my freshman year when I decided to go on a study abroad. So I really like to use that example because it's a real-time example of something that worked for me, and I think it could be very beneficial for you as well. So in your text, SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. There are a few different variables for what the acronym stands for. They all kind of mean the same thing, but on your tests and stuff, this is what it's going to be, so try to memorize it this way. So starting with specific, are your goals too broad? Are you going to be able to narrow that down and channel your focus? That's super important for SMART goals. And then moving into measurable, are you going to be able to put a real figure to what you're doing to know if you're measuring success or not? Don't get too caught up on this one, but it is important to be able to measure your success or your progress. And then going into attainable, are your goals realistic? Are they going to be something that you can achieve? Are you going to be motivated enough to do it? And then we come to the relevancy of your goals. Are they something that is important to you? Why waste your time on things that aren't important to you? That is huge for SMART goals. And then we come to time-bound. Do your goals have certain definite starting and ending points? That's important to keep yourself accountable for what you're working towards. So like I mentioned, I would like to explain this to everyone using a personal example of my study abroad because I applied SMART goals like no other for this. So specific, what you want to achieve and when you want to achieve it. For example, I had to get time off approved at work. I had to have X amount of money made by May 6th, travel vaccinations received by May 6th, and review international airline rules regarding luggage and weight contents by May 5th. So those had set deadlines of things that I needed to have done in order to go on my trip. There were a few different ways that this was measurable for me. I obviously wanted to learn about China's people and become more cultured, but I also wanted to participate by going on a study abroad, which was a long-term goal I'd always had, and also have the money to go. And these were both qualitative and quantitative ways to measure my terms. It's great to have both. It's great to see both, so try applying both to your goals. And of course, we move into attainable, which I like to look at that as do it for you. For me personally, I had to have a serious savings plan. That trip was not cheap, but I really wanted to go. So I saved and scrimped every single penny for 6 months to go. And I also had to arrange for my absence. I had to walk into my boss and ask for a month off of work. And by some miracle, I still had a job after I came back. But it's also important to do it one day at a time so that you don't get overwhelmed. Your goals also have to be relevant. You have to have a sense of moving forward. If you're working towards things that keep you stagnant, you're not really developing as a person. So it is important that your goals are relevant. For me with this trip, it was about healthcare and culture. I developed relationships with sister schools in China. And then in turn, a year later, I was actually interviewed by the chaperones from the trip to get into my program. So it was like I was walking into the interview with friends, and it made me way less nervous, and I have no doubt that going on that trip provided a huge opportunity and advantage when I was trying to get into my program. So look for things that are going to give you the advantage, but also make sure you're enjoying them at the same time and working towards bettering yourself at the same time. And then your time period. So how are you going to start? The best way to put it into terms for me was monetary value in the time that I had, but you can really do this in multiple different ways. For me, I broke it down to I needed $4,200 in 6 months. That is $700 a month, which is $175 a week, which meant I would have to work 12 extra hours per week of work. But it was 100% worth the hassle looking back. and it was a really good way to see my hard work pay off. So if you have to break it down into monetary values to obtain your goal, or really anything, if you break it down smaller, it makes it seem much less overwhelming. So definitely do that. So in conclusion, applying the SMART method to your goals will make them way more manageable and achievable. It really helps you be accountable for your actions and also gives you a sense of moving forward in what you're doing and ways to track that. And definitely start this small. Start by trying them on short-term goals. It really does work, but you do kind of have to start small. Don't jump right into it and expect it to succeed, because like anything, you have to practice at it. And I'd like to end with one of my favorite quotes, which is, "If you fail to prepare, prepare to fail." And I can attest to you that SMART goals will help you avoid this. You're going to be way more prepared for really anything you take on if you apply this method, because you're going to remain accountable and you're really just going to succeed if you apply this method. And I know firsthand, so just trust me on this. Thanks for listening to this, and I hope you got something out of it.